and you do the whole lose heroes, and he's incredible.
Holtz's
So
hero.
just
lose lads became Holtz's heroes.
lose lads became Holtz's heroes, right?
To expand, and and Lou hired somebody full time when we became Holtz's heroes, and he's expanding like what we're going to try to do, because he felt like we could do more and raise more money, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on with that. And there's some guys from USC, Southern Cal, that I've become friends with over the years that I played against, that are doing some neat stuff, and we're actually doing stuff together now. It has to do with taking care of our players going forward, about the guys that are having struggles now with finances or mental health or addiction or whatever they are. And it's a lot. It's not one or two. It's more than I wish there was. But the good news is we're starting to pool our resources to have a place for them to be able to go and direct them. And if you ever have someone that has mental illness or an addiction, it's very difficult to figure out what's the right place, who's the right doctor, what's the after treatment, what do we.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
even talking about it or having someone
people. So if you don't have people in that industry to help you, it's like navigating a minefield, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. And I think that the From the Ashes will be important too, to have, the next generation just understand, like we were talking about, the foundation of how far football has come and the sacrifices as to the difference of what it is now.
Yeah. My children have heard all my stories from day one. And so I think they've been, and Megan's very much aligned with me, by the way. She's a phenomenal mother. And thank God we see eye to eye on discipline, and we see eye to eye basically on everything.
And this whole world, let's just tell the whole audience, everybody needs to watch the Pritchett boys, because they're coming up and they're awesome. Just watch their clips. It's incredible.
They are. They amaze me every time I watch them play. So it's really so. I was talking about, I think, Lou Holtz at William and Mary, and just the feeling that those players had for him, and then my friend who played at NC State, and I don't know anybody from Arkansas that played for him, but you're blessed in life to be around people that are amazing spheres of influence, and Lou Holtz checks all the boxes on that. If you really look at where he came from, what he's done, what he says now. I mean, hell, I've heard his speech 1,000 times, but yet every time I hear him talk, it moves me. And it makes me, he challenges you. Are you doing your best? One of his phrases is, you're either growing or you're dying. Megan loves that phrase.
Yeah.
That's a great one. In other words, are you getting better? Are you trying to be better every day? Because if you're not, you're going the other way. So he's just one of those guys. I mean, I was talking to my friend from North Carolina State that I'm buddies with. We were talking about, he's a pilot and he has his own plane. It's like his hobby. But we had talked about going down to see Lou, and we may try to figure out a way to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Go spend time with him. So what I was going to tell you too about William and Mary. So I've never, you don't get to spend like one-on-one time with him very often. Now I've had the pleasure of being able to play golf with him at a very special place in Georgia, near Augusta, and I've been at some events with him where there weren't a ton of people. But so at the William and Mary thing, nobody know that he just had a very a back surgery, and apparently he could barely walk, wasn't doing very well, and immediately he was better. And I just happened to see him sitting out at the patio at the hotel we were staying, out smoking his pipe. He loves to smoke his pipe. And, and I just I walked out there because I was, I don't even remember what I was doing. Doesn't matter. But so I sat down with him and talked to just me and him, he and I, for 45 minutes. Life, football, back, his wife. And it was just amazing, to be able to spend time with him like that. It's just, he's a treasure. So I think I got the Lou topic covered, but I can't emphasize enough. I don't think it's when you're a kid. I mean, I was a kid. You don't realize this guy comes in talking all these parameters and importance and priorities and family and process, and you're like, what the hell? I don't know. Understand what is this guy talking about? And I think as I get older and I'm spend time with my other teammates, and we all sit around and we kind of look at each other like, man, that guy was telling us some good stuff. That guy was right. And, another thing about Coach Holtz is that there's a lot of people that talk one game and live another. And I think he has done everything in his power to live the message that he gave us about doing the next right thing and putting God, whatever, putting God first and telling people you love them and all these other things. And saying that he would be there for us if we ask him, and he has. So I don't know. I guess he's a man of his word. What a concept.
So a man of value, great value.
A man of value.
He needs to be on the NFL awards tonight. Tonight, that award show, like
accountable. Wait a minute. Trustworthy, accountable. This is all weird. No. Let's give some weird. No, I don't even want to get started.
He's amazing. I'm so glad you have.
He's amazing. Look, you know what? There's the thing is, the world is the world today. I mean, I was on a Zoom call yesterday with some current players at Notre Dame, ex-players from Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, and I think he is a breath of fresh air at Notre Dame. He's a younger guy. He's 35 years old, I think, or close to that. But was an ex-athlete. Obviously, been a great coach. Hearing him talk and interacting with the kids, let me tell you something. It's not that different from what our message was. They're not giving. It's hard work, commitment, accountability. It gave me hope. It's giving me goosebumps right now. It's like, those are all, that's God, let's get that message out there.
Exactly. It's breeding high performance. It's incredible.
Yeah. I think athletics is the last bastion of something that I think it's what made my children who they are today. They're grounded in athletics, and it teaches you all these microcosms about life. And you can say, yes, you're a jock and you're tainted, whatever. Okay, fine. Teamwork, accountability, practice, commitment, sacrifice. Isn't that life?
Exactly. Well, it's wonderful when you have it instilled in you. Megan had mentioned, like in COVID, like all they wanted to do was just keep working, training, and
they would, and that's how I was. Out. Yeah.
But not everybody's brought up on that, so it's incredible, and it's definitely something that we hope that everybody continues to grow that way. Well, it's special. I mean, what do you think? What are your thoughts? It's Super Bowl week. This is incredible. We get this time. This interview is amazing. What are your thoughts on the way football is now? What do you think of the players now?
They're machines. The players, we trained hard, absolutely trained. We trained as hard as we knew within what we knew.
Yeah.
We didn't really, we sort of knew what diet was. We didn't have the knowledge that these guys had. We didn't have the internet. So you were subject to whoever your strength coach was or whoever your coach was, what they knew. They didn't have a way to access or what they had been taught. Now you just pick up, you can YouTube Tom Brady's workout or whoever.
Yeah.
So the amount of information is so much better for kids at all levels. Think about it. So you have more programs, better equipment, better nutrition for longer periods of time. You're going to get, and you got, and kids get bigger, stronger, faster over time anyway, it seems. So, the amount of time, effort, commitment, none of that's changed. I think they train a lot smarter. I think they have better equipment. It's a different game. They don't get away with all the stuff that we got away with. Most of my plays, I think, would be spearing or late hits or leading with the head. That's how we played. That's the way the game was. Seriously. We were taught to tackle with our face mask.
My gosh.
I put my face mask into you.
Yeah.
So that's different. The game, maybe it's smarter now. When you watch, I love college football. I always have. I don't know that college football's ever been in a better place. Honestly, I don't know I don't think pro football's ever been in a better place.
Oh my gosh, watching pro football lately, it feels like college.
4 playoff games, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
bowls,
ago,
didn't it?
and then the AFC and NFC championship game last week or whenever. Those were 6 unbelievable football games. I don't think anybody cheated. I think the refereeing was fair. The players were unbelievable. I mean, the game with the Bills and the Chiefs with the both of those 2 quarterbacks. I mean, I've never seen anything like that, period. And the fact
incredible.
that Mahomes got the ball with 13 seconds left on his 25, and in 10 seconds, because he kicked the field goal with 3 seconds left, in 10 seconds, he goes within field goal range down the other side of the field. How does that happen? I guess the Bills were the number 1 defense in the NFL or the AFC.
The whole world was freaking out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a totally different world. I mean, this whole thing with the NIL, with college sports, to me, it's just going to become pro sports. I mean, I can just tell you that the gray area is just going to get dripped on until it's pros. Unfortunately, or fortunately, maybe that's, I don't know. It's just not the world I grew up in. I think the transfer portal is a terrible thing. I don't think that should be. I mean, that was created during COVID and supposedly was going to go away, and now it's a thing. But let's put it this way. All right, so you're going to give kids the right to transfer as many times as they want once a year, but they can keep going back and forth. Don't lose eligibility. So they're all talking about, so-and-so, we picked up 2 transfers. All right, here's one thing I haven't heard on any of the transfers. How are their academics transferring? How is that affecting their major? How many hours are transferring? All we talk about is football.
True.
All right. I'm at LSU. I went to Auburn. Do you have to change majors? Do you lose any of your hours? Are you still eligible? Why is that not being talked about? There has to be some accountability. Hello, again, here we go, back to that word. I believe the transfer portal, you should maybe, I mean, I don't know. Does anybody really care what my opinion is? But yes, maybe you give a kid 1 time, but if you go again, you got to sit out a year like the old days. You shouldn't have just endless, because all that's happening now is it's yes, the teams are using it to get players, but they're also using it to push players out. Don't kid yourself. All these schools they're also flushing kids because they only have 88 scholarships or 85 or whatever they have. But anyway, long and short of it is my son that's a 2023 is suffering from this, in my opinion, because they gave kids the extra years of eligibility. Now they have the transfer portals, and I think schools are going to take, yes, they still have 88 scholarships, but how many kids are they going to take? They're already in college. And are they going to dip into the amount that they had allocated for the 2023 class? I don't know. Some places might. I don't know. It just seems to affected high school kids a little bit. I'm not crazy about the new college rules at all, but I'm old school, I guess.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, let's just call it a spade a spade. The transfer portal is free agency, and the NIL is pro sports. Tell me I'm different. Tell me I'm.
No, I agree with you. I think that's.
I'm going to be Caleb Williams. I'm going to enter the transfer portal, and I'm going to go to USC and get paid $2 million. How is that not free agency?
It sounds a lot like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now tell us who's winning the Super Bowl.
All right. Are you ready for this?
Who are you rooting for, and who's winning?
Please pick the Bengals.
I actually, I like both teams. I think the Stafford story is a great story. Now, what's even a backstory? Actually, So I grew up at Atlanta Country Club. Tim McVeigh's dad, who they keep showing on, is a member out there. I've known him, the guy, for 30 years. I talk to him about football all the time. I had no idea that he was the son of the McVeigh that was the GM of the 49ers with Montana.
Yeah.
And Bob and Walsh and all that.
Yeah.
So about whenever he became coach 2 years ago, I just happened to be sitting in the men's locker room. I never read the paper. I pick up the paper and there's a picture of the Rams' new coach, and it's my buddy. It's the guy that I always talk to on the range. And anyway, so every time I see him at Atlanta Country Club, he's always telling me these crazy stories. Like when he was, here's his son who was like 32 or whatever. What was his age when he was named head coach? Early 30s. I think he's only 35 now.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's telling me the story about like when they first walked through into the locker room, like, Dad, what signs should I put up? Like, should I put up play like a champion? Should I put up, don't feel sorry for yourself, blah, 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 or whatever. So it's kind of really neat hearing him talking to his son about what the environment they were going to create in the locker room for the LA Rams. So part of me wants the Rams to win. I think the Stafford story is a good story, especially from Georgia. But Joe Burrow is a great story. The Bengals are a great story. I got to be honest with you. I didn't know anything about the Cincinnati Bengals. I haven't really followed them, but the fact that those guys beat Tennessee, who was the number 1 ranked team in the AFC at Tennessee, to beat Kansas City at Kansas City.
That's
right?
huge.
And they're 4-point underdogs. I'm taking Cincinnati in the points all day long.
You are.
100%.
Even with AD.
And I think everybody's taking the Rams, which makes me, I don't do whatever everybody else is doing. I'm doing something different.
Okay.
That's
you
my
heard
take.
it here.
You heard it
You and
here.
Nathan.
Taking the Bengals. So you're taking the over?
I don't know about that. The over under to me is a whole nother world. I mean, you got to think with those two quarterbacks, anything is possible. But there's two really good defenses, by the way. I think the Bengals are gritty. I mean, look, the Rams have a great defense. The Rams are, they are
The Rams.
Aaron Donald, and they have studs. But Cincinnati's gritty, man. Don't kid yourself. I think the Bengals love being an underdog. If you beat Kansas City at Kansas City, you can beat anybody. That's all I got to say. At this time, with Mahomes playing like he's playing, you can beat anybody. So I don't know. I think the two best teams at the time are playing in the Super Bowl, which would be great. I'm not. It's not like I got a big axe to grind either way. I hope it's a good game. And
yeah.
If you think that since none of the games have been, I don't think any of the games have been decided, but the Kansas City game, that one overtime game was decided by 6 points, but it was the last possession. Think about all the games have been decided by 3 points or less. So I'll take 4.
Well,
it's going to be incredible.
Yeah. So tell our fans about some of your best moments at Notre Dame and as a player, and also what's it like being part of Notre Dame history. You got Jerome Bettis, you got Christopher Zorich, you got Mark Edwards, and you got the Golick family too. So what does it mean to you to be part of Notre Dame history and some of your best moments?
Well, being a part of Notre Dame history is, it's very humbling. There's obviously, one of the reasons I went to Notre Dame was all the great history that it had at the time. And they used to play this movie called Wake Up the Echoes, which is an old famous movie about Notre Dame football. And they played it for me on my recruiting trip. And so when Coach Faust and Mal Moore, who ended up being the athletic director of Alabama, but he was at Notre Dame, when he was recruiting me, I made them bring a projector and the big reel and play Wake Up the Echoes for my dad in our living room.
Wow.
So, I think being a part of the Notre Dame tradition is very special. It's hard for me to even think about me being involved in being a part of that conversation. But, I was on the last national championship team. I was the leading tackler, All-American. So I think, I'm very proud to be a part of Notre Dame, and I couldn't think of a better place to have gone to school. As far as stories,
like best moments or like best game you ever had.
Man, there's so many. It would all be my senior year. Beating Miami, Catholics, convicts in South Bend. I had been on that team in 1986. We played down there. Jerry Faust's last game. They beat us 58-7, 51-7, something like that. Jerry, not Jerry Jones. What was their coach's name? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on him. I can see him with a comb over.
Oh,
What was Miami's coaches? Come on, he's on NBC now with Howie Long and all those guys. Jimmy Johnson,
yeah,
Jesus,
Jimmy Johnson. Yeah.
Jimmy
Oh,
Johnson.
Jimmy.
How can I not forget that? Anyway, so Jimmy, they block a punt, call a timeout, and score a touchdown with like 10 seconds left in the game. I mean, they just ran the score up. So I hated Miami more than anything in the world. And then we had the fight in the tunnel before the game. I don't know, you guys. You need to go watch the Catholics Convicts. 30.
Oh, I'm watching it.
Anyway, long story short, they hadn't lost a game, I think, in 2 years, and we ended up beating them. That was amazing. I think after that game, we knew.
Wow.
In my mind, I knew we were never going to lose a game, and there was never a close game after that for us the rest of the year. But that was an incredible game. I had 15 tackles in that game and broke my hand in the first quarter. Yeah.
Whoa.
I was so fired up. I heard my hand snap, knew it was broken, couldn't feel it, ran over to the sideline. I'm talking to Barry Alvarez. I'm calling the trainer. The trainer comes up. I said, take my fingers together. I broke my hand. And Alvarez looked at me and says, you broke your hand? I said, tell me the defense. Meanwhile, I'm just holding my hand up. The guy tapes my finger. He's like, you broke your hand? I'm like, tape my fingers together. I ran back out there. I had time for pain.
That's why Wes is the most competitive person I know. That's ridiculous.
That's a fact. You can look that one up.
But you win. That's how you win.
I wouldn't have I think, unless I had like shattered my femur, I was not going out of that game. So that was a good one. That would probably be as high. That was up there with them. And then the next one would have been beating Southern Cal out there. That was amazing. And I had a great game in that game. I played really good. That was probably could arguably have been my best game of my career. I had a lot of big hits in that game. And then the national championship game, we played West Virginia with Major Harris in the Fiesta Bowl. And, to know that once we won this game, there was nothing else. There was just one game season. Win that game and you're national champions. And then that was incredibly special, and so let me just backstory all this stuff. So my father had a huge influence on my career. It would be like me involved in my kids' careers now and sports and everything else. And he had going into the summer before my 5th year, when we won the national championship, he had a stroke and was in a coma, never recovered. So I had dedicated my last season to my dad. But of course, unfortunately, hopefully he knew, but he wasn't there for us to going through that whole thing and getting drafted and winning the national championship and giving the Gipper sweater to Ronald Reagan in the Rose Garden, which I got to do. And I'm in the Reagan Library, all these things that I could have never truly ever dreamed of in my life. He wasn't a part of it. So that really affected me when I got done with Notre Dame. I didn't really think about it at the time. But as I went on and was playing pro football and got out on my own and got out of that sort of environment in Notre Dame, it troubled me for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he's with you in spirit for sure, because he helped drive your competitiveness and your strength and ambition for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: let our fans know what are you most looking forward to now? The new era of Notre Dame. Obviously, Brian Kelly gone to LSU. Now you got Marcus Freeman, which I like that they're staying in-house, that he's a proven coach, and now he finally got his chance. So what are you most looking forward to see him develop the team and move on and hopefully win the national championship again for Notre Dame?
Here's the thing, look, I'm not there, but I can tell you that I'm very observant. I've been there. I never liked Brian Kelly. He never brought in any of the old players. Like Notre Dame, you go to Boston College or you go to Miami or you go to all these other schools, because my brother played at BC. That's why I know. And I always see the ex-players on the sideline at Miami. Man, players that play at schools, they want to know about the guys that were there before them. I know I did. When I was at Notre Dame, there was nothing that fired me up more than to have Rocky Blyer come talk to us or stand on our sideline. You know what I'm saying? But it's a guy that I grew up watching in the Super Bowl. Or Ross Browner or all these cool guys Kelly never brought the team. There was just like the whole, like when Lou came in, Lou truly loved Notre Dame. Lou thought Notre Dame was more important than Lou. Brian Kelly thought Brian Kelly was more important than Notre Dame. Not that that's just the world today. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
He didn't bring the old. There was just a lot of things that I didn't necessarily love. I don't think anybody cares that he's a winningest coach at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame football's in a better position today than it was when he came. But he's gone. Good riddance. I don't miss it. So Marcus Freeman comes in. I think Notre Dame took a little bit of rolled the dice a little bit, but apparently the players all went to the athletic director, Jack Swarbrick, and said, "This is our guy. This is a guy we want." And I mean, I'd never heard of such. That to me, that's awesome. Everything I've heard from him is impressive. I love his tenacity. He loves Notre Dame. He's a football player. He's a guy's guy. I don't think Kelly was any of those things. Obviously a good football coach, but and so what has Marcus Freeman done? I told you I was on a Zoom call yesterday. He's already started. It's called the Legacy Program. He's taking all ex-players, current players, coaches, current coaches, and we're doing Zoom calls once a month now.
I'm in on that call.
Huh?
Put me in on that call.
I'm serious. So we just had our first call yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Now I just received an invitation for the spring game, which I was never invited to for 35 years. Bear in mind.
Oh, that's exciting.
They're going to have a legacy weekend, happy hour, connectivity meetings, golf tournament, everything with the old ex-football players coming together in one place to start trying to get some connectivity and start getting everybody involved. Because you've got all this great energy and all these great successful guys, and we've never had a forum.
Exactly. So, greatness. I'm always saying
you ask me what I think of Marcus Freeman. I already love the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love him too. And I mean, that's what you need is that stay together.
YouTube the video of them announcing Marcus Freeman as the head coach at Notre Dame. The players don't know it. They're in the stadium. The strength coach is talking to them, and it hadn't been announced yet. And he says, blah, 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 blah. He's going through this whole thing. He says, and I want to introduce your next head coach. And Marcus Freeman comes flying in, and the team goes, you just have to watch it. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen that much emotion, energy. Look, football's an emotional game. In the NFL, I think maybe the guy, they're just great players. But for me, football has to be emotional. I could play at a better level if I was emotionally charged in a game. And if he can get those guys to play at a high, Lou Holtz got us to play at a higher level. Wow. Lou Holtz got me to play better than I should have played. And I think that probably affected me when I got to the NFL because I didn't have Lou Holtz taking me to the next level, But I think I'm optimistic about Marcus. I think he's going to do great, man. He's bringing in good kids. He's bringing in fresh blood. Sometimes you need a change. Look, you got to embrace change. You got to embrace the future. But the things that he's saying are old school. His dad was a military guy. He's got old school training. He's got old school discipline, accountability. And so maybe I should go up there and be a coach. I'm ready.
Yeah, you want to be
that would be amazing.
Wes Pritchett, assistant coach to Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
After about a week, he'd be like, you know what? I think you need to go back to Atlanta.
No, he wouldn't. Wes, let's talk about the professional golf for a little bit. Love golf. I love to golf. And I think that it's such a mental focus. You're so honed in. So I think it's so interesting. I didn't know that you played pro as well.
I didn't play pro golf. Oh, no. I was never
didn't play pro.
I said when I was 14.
Okay, but your kids have followed in your path. They were at Kiowa when they were like born and playing
I wish
golf.
They had been more. Well, first of all, my two favorite sports were golf and football, and everybody always asks me, that doesn't make sense. How can you be a linebacker? So many
football players play golf. Everybody needs to play golf. How can you be a
linebacker and play golf? Well, I think I grew up playing golf.
Yeah.
And if you grow up playing something as a youth, I think a lot of people that play football, they come from, they didn't grow up playing golf. But for me, it's exactly what you said. I always loved golf because it was the biggest mental challenge of any game I've ever played.
It is. So what's your advice?
The physical aspects of it. Golf, you have to stay laser focused. Yes.
Total.
You can have God-given abilities, the DJs of the world, that somebody would say that he's not the sharpest tack in the box and that he doesn't think anything. He just performs. But I don't know about that. He's got to have some kind of crazy focus connectivity within his body.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think golf's an amazing sport. I've always loved it. It's it's my favorite sport now.
And what's your advice for the youth? Like, for instance, so many people that after football, there's so much business comes together at golf. So what's your advice for the youth?
I've made more money playing golf than any sport I ever played. 100%. I tell my kids that all the time. I said, what sport does dad play? Golf. What does dad talk about? Golf. How does dad entertain his clients? Golf. I said, you think maybe you can play golf? So, I mean, look, it's a fact. You could, people, it doesn't matter. What sport can you play for your entire life and keep you busy? I mean, for me, I love it.
Exactly. Deals are made on the course. My mom said, if you want to be in on the conversation in the men's business world, you got to play golf, Kia. And I'm telling you, with football, same way. You got to play golf.
Smart woman. I totally agree. Yeah. It's true. It's a bonding experience. You get, where else are you going to get a CEO, a super important person, one-on-one for 4 hours?
Exactly.
And where they're enjoying something, where they're having fun, right? I'm telling you, I unfortunately the world's changed. I can't entertain like in the old days. I was the boondoggle golf guy. I took my guys everywhere. We went to Pebble Beach, Pinehurst, Sea Island. That's all I did was put together golf trips for many years, and it worked.
When Megan was here touring for college for the guys, I said, just make sure wherever they go, they're from the South, they were brought up on golf, they got to keep golfing. Because I don't know if she knows like how important it is. I was like, they got to just be able to get.
She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it, but she knows how much I love it. I think she thought it was always stupid, but I think she's figured it out. And the funny thing is, so the boys, I always would buy them clubs, and as they grew, get them new clubs. And always when they would come to Atlanta, we would always make them go play golf, and they never wanted to. And I'd get them lessons, and just I did everything I could to get them involved in golf. Unfortunately, it's not enough action for them. I don't know. I don't know why I thought there was enough action in golf, but they never loved it like I did. The funny thing is now the older two now want to play all the time because they realize their buddies want to play.
Yeah.
Now all their friends,
and they will later, like once they still go.
Friends are going to be your golf friends anyway.
Seeing them on the football field, I get it though. They're incredible. They're getting bowling awards. They're getting football. They're golfing. They're going to do it all just like you.
Lawson bowled a two. So yeah, they didn't play basketball, and so I thought they were joking 2 months ago when they said they were going out for the bowling team. But my kids have bowled with me. They don't know anything about bowling, like spinning the ball and all that. So they just decide that they're going out for the bowling team. They get bowling balls made. They start practicing. Now they spin the ball like the pros. Well, Lawson, they both make the bowling team. They just finished third in state. And Lawson bowls a 290. He bowled 11. He had a spare in the first frame, and he bowled 11 strikes in a row.
I love it. That's incredible. My mom's, we're watching them like a reality TV show. My mom's like, did you see those boys are bowling now? It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Lawson could do anything. Well, both.
So yeah.
Oh, okay. And by the way, Kane is coming up. He's in 7th grade. Don't just wait for Caney. He's coming.
Oh yeah.
He may be the best basketball player and football player of the three.
Wow.
There can be a reality Pritchett show. I'm just saying.
I hope so. I want to get the YouTube channel going.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll talk. We got to make that happen.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things. We have another fan question in here. They want to know, what music did you listen to throughout your career before a game?
What was your hype music?
Well, it's changed over time. I mean, I always like rock and roll. I'm old school guy. I like everything. I mean, and when I was at Notre Dame, that was when U2 first came out. So U2 was in college.
Oh
U2
yeah.
was like, I mean, the Joshua Tree came out when I was like a sophomore or junior in college. And we saw U2 in Detroit. It was just, I would say U2. I loved AC/DC. I loved, let's see, who did I listen to back then? This is my college days now. I love the Stones. I loved, CCR. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
Rush. I listened to Rush a lot. AC/DC, Led Zeppelin. I liked all those old rock and roll bands. Bob Seger.
Classics.
Yeah, I liked all the classic music. I wasn't anything weird. And now I listen to a lot of country. I love country music. So I always listen to Willie and Waylon, like the old country guys. And now I listen to all the new country stuff. I listen to all the old rock and roll. I like hip hop. I like some R&B. I mean, I love dance music. If it's got a good, I love Biggie.
Yeah.
I love Weekend. I listen to everything. My list is
Wow.
pretty broad.
Yeah.
I don't like a lot of the new, like I'll listen to the rap, some of the stuff